What is the most justified execution of Nazi employees? The horrors of Auschwitz and other concentration camps have long been known, but what about the people who ran these camps and participated in the genocide of millions of innocent people? In this video, we will explore the life and crimes of Rudolf Hoss, his role in the Holocaust, and the story of his execution. We will also examine the moral and ethical questions surrounding his punishment, and whether justice truly prevailed. Join us as we delve into one of history's darkest chapters and the retribution that followed. As the Second World War came to an end, the Allies captured more territory and liberated numerous concentration camps, revealing the true crimes of the Nazi regime. Among these, the Red Army's liberation of the largest concentration camp, Auschwitz, on January 27, 1945, was particularly significant. Over 1 million people had been murdered within its walls, and over 7,000 prisoners remained when it was liberated. The revelation of the atrocities committed at Auschwitz and other camps shocked the world, solidifying the Third Reich's place as one of history's most evil regimes. After the war's conclusion, many of the perpetrators of the Holocaust were brought to justice, including Rudolf Hoss, the longest-serving commandant of Auschwitz. He met his own demise in 1947 inside the very camp he once commanded. Hoss joined the Nazi Party in 1922 after hearing a speech from Hitler in Munich and participated in brutal acts under the party's guise. He was involved in beating a school teacher to death, whom Martin Bowman wished dead. Although Hoss was tried as a ringleader, he received a 10-year prison sentence. Known for his violence, he married and had 5 children after his release. In 1934, Hoss joined the SS and became associated with Heinrich Himmler, whom he idolized. He preferred Himmler over Hitler himself and joined the Death's Head unit after becoming acquainted with Himmler. He started his work at the Dachau concentration camp in December 1934 and worked there as a block leader. Later, he was promoted to captain and served as an adjutant to Hermann Baranowski at Sachsenhausen, where he led the firing squad and executed August Dickmann, the first conscientious objector to be executed after the war began on September 15, 1939. After transferring to the Waffen-SS in 1939, Hoss was promoted on May 1, 1940, and became famous for his role as commandant of a prison camp in western Poland. The camp was built around an old army barracks named Auschwitz, which Hoss commanded for 3 years. He turned the camp into a huge complex known as Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp. Although he had been briefed to create a transition camp for 10,000 prisoners from the existing buildings, he had different ideas and aimed to create the most efficient camp possible, more efficient than what he had seen in the past. He even moved into Auschwitz with his wife and children and lived a relatively normal home life despite his horrific work in organizing mass murder. At its peak, Auschwitz consisted of 3 facilities and multiple subcamps spread over a vast area of approximately 20,000 acres. The primary administrative center was Auschwitz I, while Auschwitz II-Birkenau functioned as an extermination camp, and Auschwitz-Monowitz operated as a slave labor camp for German industrial conglomerates. In June 1941, Höss secretly met with Himmler to discuss the final solution, and Himmler selected Höss's camp, Panschwitz, for the extermination of Europe's Jewish population. The location was chosen due to its convenient rail access and extensive site. Höss embarked on a clandestine project to develop and test efficient methods of mass killing. Under Höss's leadership, Auschwitz became the most effective instrument of the Holocaust, with a constantly evolving system of extermination. He experimented with various methods of gassing prisoners to maximize the number of deaths. During his tenure, hundreds of thousands of people were killed. After his arrest, he estimated the total number of deaths from larger actions in different countries, bringing the total to 1.1 million. However, he could not recall the exact numbers for smaller actions and considered the total of 2.5 million deaths too high. Despite its destructive capabilities, Auschwitz had limits. Höss's affair with an inmate in 1943 led to his removal from command, though he returned in May 1944 to oversee Operation Höss. In just 56 days, 430,000 Hungarian Jews were transported to Auschwitz and executed, overwhelming the camp's logistical capacity to handle the massive genocide. Thousands of bodies were burned in open pits. Höss later finished his career at Ravensbrück, where he organized the gatekeeper prisoners within the camp. In March 1946, he was arrested and attempted to bite a cyanide pill but was unsuccessful. He was later called to testify as a defense witness by the lawyer of Ernst Kaltenbrunner at the Nuremberg trials. During his testimony, he revealed that he estimated 2.5 million people were executed at Auschwitz during his time in command of the camp, which represented around 70 to 80% of all those who were sent there. Although he was accused of murdering 3.5 million people, he stated that only 2.5 million had been killed, and the rest died from disease and starvation. After the trial, Höss was handed over to the Polish authorities to be tried for murder. While in prison, he wrote about his experiences, including his mistreatment by the British while he was held in captivity. During his trial, he remained calm and composed, knowing what his fate would be at the end. He even requested to send his wedding ring to his wife. On April 2, 1947, the court announced its verdict, sentencing Höss to death by hanging. The day after the verdict was passed, former prisoners of Auschwitz requested that the execution take place at the camp where Höss had been the commandant. Originally scheduled for April 14th, the execution of Höss was postponed due to concerns that local residents would attempt to lynch him en route to the execution site. Instead, his execution was rescheduled for April 16th. The gallows, which included a trapdoor, had been constructed by German prisoners of war. Höss arrived at Auschwitz for his execution at 8 a.m. and was first taken to the building that had once housed his office. After asking for a cup of coffee, he was then led to a cell in Block 11, also known as the Death Block of Auschwitz. At 10 a.m., Höss was taken to the gallows, walking calmly and confidently through the camp he had once overseen. His hands were handcuffed and restrained behind his back, and the executioners had to help him climb onto a stool placed above the trapdoor. Before the execution, Father Zaremba approached Höss on the stool, while the prosecutor read out the sentence. Höss's son adjusted the noose with a nod of his head before the executioner placed it around his father's neck. At 10:08 a.m., the hangman pulled the stool from beneath Höss, and his body fell through the trapdoor. Father Zaremba recited a prayer for the condemned and dying, and Höss was pronounced dead by a physician at 10:21 a.m. It is believed that Höss was cremated, and his remains were scattered at an unknown location. Just 4 days before his execution, Höss came to the realization of the enormity of his crimes. He acknowledged his role in carrying out the brutal plans of the Third Reich for the destruction of human life, as he had served as the commandant of Auschwitz. This realization was a result of his experiences at one of the most inhumane and abhorrent places on the planet, where he oversaw the perpetration of human destruction. Höss was known for his immense cruelty, and his actions secured his place in history as one of the most wicked figures of the Holocaust. Ultimately, Höss met his fate at Auschwitz, the site where he had caused so much horror and misery to countless individuals. As we conclude our discussion on the most justified execution of Nazi employees, it's important to remember the atrocities committed during the Holocaust and the importance of bringing perpetrators to justice. The story of Rudolf Hoss serves as a reminder that even those in positions of power and authority must be held accountable for their actions. While some may argue that capital punishment is not the answer, the case of Hoss highlights the significance of his crimes and the impact they had on millions of lives. The execution of Hoss was not only a punishment for his crimes, but also a symbol of justice for the victims of the Holocaust. It's crucial to continue educating ourselves and future generations about the horrors of the Holocaust and to ensure that such atrocities never happen again. By remembering the past and working towards a better future, we can honor the memories of those who suffered and lost their lives during one of the darkest chapters in human history. Thank you for watching, and we hope this video has shed some light on this fascinating and tragic story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And as always, stay curious and keep learning.